Lesson 4-9, Partial Products Multiplication. In this lesson, you're going to learn to solve 2-digit by 2-digit multiplication problems. You're going to solve those 2-digit by 2-digit problems in which the multipliers are multiples of 10, and you're going to use partial products to solve those problems. But first, let's take a look at our mental math and fluency. 4 times 50. Well, 4 times 5 is 20, so you should write that down first. There is 1 0, so I add 1 0 onto the end for 200. 30 times 7. Well, 3 times 7 is 21. I add 1 0. My answer is 210. 70 times 8. 7 times 8 is 56, and 1 0 is 560. Please continue to see the importance of knowing those multiplication facts. For this problem, you are going to turn to page 130 in your math journal. There are two different methods I'm going to show you here for multiplying in order to get the answer for a 2-digit by 2-digit multiplication problem. So pause the recording now if you need to get to math journal page 130 so you can walk through this with me. So first of all, as I'm drawing and writing, you should be listening and also drawing and writing. So what you see here is that I drew a rectangle and I partitioned it into place value. So the number I partitioned is the number 34. Notice I left the number 20, which is already rounded, so to speak. So I divided it into the tens place and into the ones place. Notice it's 30 and then 4, not a 3 and 4. Because when we say the number 34, that's really what it represents, is the number 30 plus 4 to make 34. Once I've done that, then I start to multiply. 3 times 2 I said was 6, but that isn't what I'm multiplying. I'm multiplying 30 times 20. So I take these two zeros, add them onto the end of my answer, 6, and I know 20 times 30 is 600. Next, I take 20 times 4. 4 times 2 is 8, but remember, I wasn't multiplying by 2, I was multiplying by 20, so I need to take this 0 and put it down in my answers. 4 times 20 equals 80. When I add 60 plus 80, I come up with my answer for this problem, which is 680. Now let's go over and look at the partial products multiplication. I line them up, 34 times 20. And I ask myself, what is 20 times 30? Remember, here again, that's not a 3, that's a 30 for 34. Well, 2 times 3 again is 6, and I add 2 zeros because this is 30 times 20 for 600. Then I multiply to the ones place, 20 times 4, which is 80. When I add those together, I also come up with 680. Either method I use is going to get me the answer that I need. Complete problem 1 on journal page 130. See if you can do it by yourself without going back and reviewing this recording. If you can't, you can always stop it, pause it, and go back. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at our second problem. The second problem is looking at a 2-digit by 2-digit number. All right, let's take a look at problem number 2 on Math Journal page 130. It was doing 17 times 34. Notice we're breaking this up a little bit different now this time. Because 17 can be broken into 10 and 7, I'm actually going to have 2 partitioned rectangles. So I put the tens place on top and the ones place on bottom. And now I multiply. 10 times 30 is 300. And 10 times 4 is 40. Next I do 7 times 30, which is 210. And then I do 7 times 4, which is 28. When I add 10 and 7, that gave my original 17. When I add 30 plus 4, that gives me the original 34. So in order to figure out my answer for this problem, I would have to add 300 plus 40. Remember, all I'm adding is what's in here. What's on the outside are the numbers that I use to multiply. So if I add 300 plus 210, I have 510. If I add 40 plus 28, I have 68, for a total of 578. That's my answer for that problem. Now when I go over here and do partial products multiplication, again, I start with my tens place. This is 10 times 30, which is 300. And then I take that 10 times the ones place, which is 4, which is 40. Now I'm done with that place value. I've used it both times. Now I start with the 7. 7 times 30 is 210. And 7 times 4 is 28. When I add them together, I get 578. Again, if you can forward this recording and you think that you can do it without looking back, that'd be really excellent practice for you. If not, rewind it and go back to the beginning. So here again, what would I multiply these two numbers by? Well, first, I would do the top one and break it into 60, and my other number would be 8. And my other number is 51, so my first number would be 50, and my last one would be 1. There you go. 50 times 60 is 3,000. 50 times 8 is 400. 1 times 6 is 60, and 1 times 8 is 8. When I would add all the numbers inside my rectangles, that would be my answer to the problem. That's why it's called partitioning it. You're putting it into parts. This was the partition one that I did back on the previous page with you, the 17 times 34, and we broke it apart. So we've already completed that problem. So we're going to go on. The next thing we're looking at is Math Journal page 131. This is multiplying again 2-digit by 2-digit numbers. Again, practice with partial products math. Look at this as example. This is in Math Journal page 131. This is showing you how to multiply 2-digit by 2-digit numbers. 38 by 76. First you multiply what's in the tens spot. 7 and 3 are both in the tens. So this is really 70 multiplied by 30. So 70 times 30 is 2,100. Next I multiply 70 times 8. 70 times 8 is 560 because 7 times 8 is 56, and then this is 7D, so I add that 0 down below. Now I'm done with the 10 spot. Now I look at the 1 spot. 6 times 30, because this number is 38, is 180. And I write that down. And next it is 6 times 8, which is 48. Now that I've multiplied both numbers down on the bottom with both numbers up top, I can add. 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 8 is 8. 0 plus 6 plus 8 is 14, plus 4 is 18. I carry the 1. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 2. My answer is 2,888. Your job now is to finish Math Journal page 131. Please stop the recording, finish that page, and then bring it up to me so I can check it for you. If you need this repeated again, rewind the tape slightly, this recording, and play it again to walk through the steps with it. Pause it now. So again, that's the example on how to do partial products. Please finish page 131 in your Math Journal and then turn the recording back on to complete. You should be bringing it up to me. If there's anything you didn't understand, you can always rewind this recording and listen to it again, but I want you to try to do them to see where your understanding is maybe not quite right, if you got a couple wrong. And don't forget, you need to do the entire page. So pause the recording now and finish that page in your math journal. There you're just seeing me quickly going through the page that you have just completed. So this says work with a partner, but you don't need to work with a partner here at first. What you're going to do is you're going to need multiplication match cards, a scissors, and tape. But really to start out, all I want you to have are the match cards and the scissors. And I would like each of you to have your own set of these. So please make sure that everyone is doing that. You need to cut apart the cards on multiplication match. They are in the file. Then you're going to match each partition rectangle card with the partial products card. That's to show that you understand which ones go together. Since this is an assessment check, you are going to have to show your understanding by matching these cards together either with myself, Mrs. Voorhees, or Mrs. Wolfcool, or whatever paraprofessional is here at the time. If you are unsure about if you're doing it correctly and you need to wait for me, go ahead and go on in this recording and we can always come back to it when I'm available. So you're cutting apart the multiplication match cards, and then either with myself, Mrs. Voorhees, or Mrs. Wolfcool, you are doing this as an assessment check-in, showing us that you understand how to partner them up. Please do not tape anything at this time. I want you to be able to use those cards at other times, and I don't want them taped together. Pause the recording now, go get those papers, and please cut them apart. Using partial products multiplication to solve 53 times 78. Whenever I see a multiplication number, I always like to put the larger number on top. So I will put 78, and then I will multiply by 53. So remember, first I multiply the 10 spot. This is 53 and 78. So 50 times 70. 5 times 7 is 35. And I add 2 zeros because there was a 0 behind the 50 and a 0 behind the 70. Now I'm going to multiply 50 times 8. Well, 5 times 8 is 40. And then I have 1 0 because there would be 0 behind the 5 for 50. And I'd write that number down. I'm exiting out the 5 because I'm finished with that number for multiplying. Now I go to the 3. I multiply 3 times 70 because this is 78. Well, 3 times 7 is 21. 70 would have 1 0 here, so I put 1 0 my answer. And then I do 3 times 8, which is 24. Now I multiplied both numbers on the bottom with both numbers on top. So I've completed this. So now all I do to find this answer is add 0 plus 0 plus 4 is 4. Sorry about that. 0 plus 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1, plus 2 is 3. 5 plus 4 is 9, plus 2 is 11. And 3 plus 1 is 4. So my answer for 53 times 78 in partial products multiplication method is 4,134. Sorry this is spinning here for a little bit. I know that can sometimes be irritating. Next you're going to do Math Journal page 132. This is reviewing skills that have been taught in previous lessons. So the first one says draw and label ray HA, draw point T on it, and then what is another name for ray HA. Remember you had the little cheat box in the corner that shows you in your SRB where to look to help you with this answer. Finish page 132, bring it up to me, and then do Math Masters page 169. That is your final thing. 169 needs to be